Hey guys, welcome to my Bully 2 video. So here we have it. This was my Christmas present, the Bully 2 MOA competition crawler kit from RC4WD. As always, you need to start with putting the links together. A little bit tedious, but it doesn't take too long. You then have to spray up some of the body panels. I chose to do them all at the same time. I use this kind of gunmetal silver colour. Then you start assembling the chassis. More chassis parts, and the links and shocks go on. Pretty much ready for the axles now. The axles come pretty much fully assembled. Just have to add your motors and a servo. The axles bolt onto the links and the shocks. All the body panels go on, and I throw on some Rockstar stickers because I had them lying around. And now it's time to head to the beach and hit the rocks. And these rocks were super slippery. I honestly didn't think it would be able to climb them at all, and I was really impressed with the fact that it got any grip on these rocks at all because they were so smooth. I'm using a really budget electric setup in this car. I basically fished around in my parts bin for electrics for this thing. I managed to find a dual motor ESC. It's a Hobbywing dual motor one that came out of an old Traxxas Summit that I used to own. It's been sat in my parts bin for about 5 years, so it still works. And it done the trick on this one quite nicely. The servo was a high-tech, it's like a 35 kg servo. Not the best, but it runs pretty well off the internal Beck in the ESC, so I'm quite happy with that for now. And I'm just using my cheap Aptima branded GT5 transmitter. It doesn't have any mixing ability or anything, so for the time being it's perfectly adequate. And for the budget setup of electrics I've got in this thing, I'm really impressed with the way it drives. Whoops, my driving skills not so good. Yeah, it crawls really slowly. It's beautifully controlled. And it's got a reasonable amount of wheel speed. I would like a bit more wheel speed, but it's not too bad. Again, just constantly impressed with the grip from this thing. These things were slow, slippery, and with a bit of patience you could eventually find just that tiny little bit of grip it needs to climb to the top of these big old rocks. A lot of people hate on these little white stick shock absorbers that come with the kit. But honestly, they seem to do the job quite well. I did oil fill these ones with the oil that came in the kit. I'm using the standard springs that were in there, and they seem to do the job perfectly well. And to be honest, there's so little clearance between the wheel and the shock when you're on full steering angle. I think a wider shock with an external spring would just limit your ability to steer. So I'm quite happy to stick with the little white shocks for now. This thing's ability to go vertical is really astonishing. I have a TRX4, which I've taken out on the rocks, and there's no way in hell it would ever be able to perform a manoeuvre like that. The overhangs would totally render it completely useless in that situation. And I say, struggling for grip on these shiny rocks again, but with a bit of patience and a little bit of wiggling, eventually, there we go, we do find the grip. One thing I haven't done is vented the tyres on this yet. I think that's something I need to do because the beadlock tyres that come with it are pretty much, there's a positive pressure in there. When you squeeze the tyres, you can feel air pressure, which I think is not helping. I want the tyre to be able to deform a little bit more. So I think I do need to vent those tyres. The other thing this rig is lacking at the moment is a dig. Having a dig function on one of these is pretty essential, I think. But like I said, with my budget electronic setup, really I think my only option is the RC4WD Rocket Dig 2, the unit that comes on the ready to run version of this car. I've heard varying reviews on those. Some people say they're pretty good. A lot of people seem to say they're quite bad, and they don't tend to be very reliable. But really, it's my only option that I'm aware of with the current electronic setup. I say the total cost of my electrics in this car is probably less than £100 in value, which is pretty unheard of for a rig like this. And I say, when you consider that, it really does perform fantastically. Obviously, at some point in the future, I would like to upgrade to a twin ESC setup, like the Holmes Hobby BR Mini Dual. That would be ideal. But it's an expensive piece of kit, and the Holmes Hobby stuff is quite difficult to get hold of in the UK. So that's something that I'll think about for the future. The other possibility I was thinking for an upgrade on this is the wheel weights. I have noticed that most of the competition crawler guys that I've seen do run the brass knuckle weights on these, which I wasn't sure if I was going to need because the axles are so heavy as it is. But you can see by the amount of times I've flipped the thing over on the side hills, I think I may go with the knuckle weights at some point too. Did really well on my battery on this. Again, I fished out an old battery from one of my old race drones. It's an 800 milliamp hour, I believe it's a Turnigy graphene battery, a 3S. And I got about 25 minutes of runtime out of it on this run around the rocks like this, which I was really impressed with. So yeah, very happy about that. So overall, for a first run, it was really enjoyable. Thanks for watching.